Good morning, everyone. Today we will be debating about death penalty. The team in favor is composed by Esmeralda, Maria Paula, and me, Lucia, and the team against is composed by Jime, Sofia, and Carolina. Death penalty is a process in which a person is punished and put to death for a crime by the state. It has been a long time debate whether governments should be in favor or against it. Starting with the arguments in favor, being in favor of death penalty is being in favor of justice. Death penalty is for one of the most atrocious crimes. Why should someone who made such a horrific crime be fed and have somewhere to sleep? In Mexico, there are 55% more deaths than expected for 2020. Death penalty saves lives and helps people live more calm and secure.
In response to this, I would like to argue that the death penalty violates the most fundamental human right, the right to life. It is the ultimate cruel, inhuman, and degrading punishment. Now you may be wondering, don't those people who have committed atrocious crimes to innocent victims deserve to pay the family justice? They do. Those who have lost loved ones in terrible crimes have a right to see the person responsible held to account in a fair trial without recourse for death penalty. In opposing the death penalty, we are not trying to minimize or condone crime, but as many families who have lost loved ones have said, the death penalty cannot genuinely relieve their suffering. It just extends that suffering to the family of the condemned person.
For a second argument, death penalty may prevent future murders. The law was created to make rules to provide order and avoid crimes within society, but it also was created to make punishments for not following these laws and committing these crimes. Therefore, I believe that for the crime of murder, the punishment should be the strongest, which is the death penalty, which will cause criminals to think twice before committing a murder. A study showed that for every inmate who was executed, 7 lives were spared because they were discouraged from committing these crimes. We should also give priority and more value to the life of the victims who might be safe, as they are innocent. They didn't commit a crime. Their lives were taken without a choice, without them doing anything bad. Instead of giving more value to the life of the murderer, by not punish them as they should for their crime. Criminal law is meant to protect the lives of the potential victims, on preference to those of the actual murderers. So I ask you this, why should we value more the life of the convicted murderer more highly than the value of the lives of the innocent victims who might be spared by discouraging prospective murderers?
First of all, we are not anyone to decide whether a person lives or dies. And regarding the last argument, the death penalty is not proven as a deterrent to future murders. Actually, the states in the United States that do not employ or use the death penalty have lower murder rates than the states that do. And the same is true when you compare the US to another country similar to it. Like the United States has a higher murder rate with 5.1 intentional homicides per 100 people than the countries of Europe or Canada, which do not use death penalty. So there is no conclusive proof that the death penalty acts as a better deterrent than the threat of life imprisonment. And actually 84% of the academical criminological societies think the same, and they rejected the notion that the death penalty acts as any deterrent in the people that has committed a crime. Therefore, the safety of a society can be assured without using the death penalty.
Now, well, just as my colleagues, I would like to emphasize again the importance of bearing in mind that in most of the countries where death penalty is retained, it is intended to use it mostly like a preventive measure, and in the case of being used as punishment, it's only for certain crimes that are considered extremely serious, such as homicide, parricide, rape, or human trafficking. And crimes that are believed demand as just retribution the life of the person who committed, for instance, because this person was the first one that violates the fundamental rights of a third party. In addition to this, if we consider that according to the World Prison Brief, Mexico is position 7 in the countries among the most people in prison, and that we only have capacity for 208,905 inmates, the reinstatement of death penalty may seem like a good solution and will prevent these criminals to commit crimes again, because at the end, death penalty is cheaper than keeping a convicted criminal locked up for life at the expenses of the society.
In response to my colleague's point about capital punishment being cheaper than life in prison, I would just like to say that in this day and age, that claim is simply not true, because death penalty requires longer trials, more appeals, and more experts on both sides of the case to ensure that innocent people are not convicted of crimes. Also, although I agree that prevention is very important, the death penalty may not be the best choice for it, because sooner or later, innocent people will get killed due to mistakes and flaws in the system. And it has been shown that witnesses, prosecutors, and jurors can all make mistakes. After all, they are people. And when this is coupled with flaws in the system, it is inevitable that innocent people end up being judged for crimes they didn't commit. If the death penalty is chosen as a punishment, such mistakes cannot be put right. And since 1973, in the USA, 130 people were sentenced to death and then were found to be innocent and subsequently released from death row. In the same period, 1,200 others have been executed, but who knows how many more were innocent.
As we can see, there are a lot of different arguments for both sides, and this topic can extend to many more. It is a very controversial one, but we can clearly learn a lot from the different perspectives we heard. Thanks for all the participants for all the work done.